Yeah. All right, I'm gonna mute everyone, and just when it's your time, just please unmute yourself. All right, mute all. All right, here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to Emerge Gallery. My name is Robert Langdon, and today we are taking a look at some of the, well, pretty much all of the response writings that are part of the show, Tell Me a Story. So just a little bit of background of Tell Me a Story. It's a group show with about 50 artists in the show, all from the Hudson Valley, New York metropolitan area. There are about 50 pieces that are hanging here in the gallery in Saugerties, and then there's an additional 30 pieces that are exclusive to artsy.net. You can view all of the work on the Emerge Gallery NY shop on artsy.net. So let me just give you a quick little run through of Tell Me a Story. It's a group show with about 50 artists in the show, all from the Hudson Valley, New York Metro. Okay, we are live on YouTube. All right, so let's start with the window. I want to point out we've got a great little display in the window. These are some fantastic characters that you're welcome to write about by Stacy A.S. Pritchard, who lives in New Jersey. And then, as with most of my shows, it's all different styles, all different mediums. Each of the pieces connect. So what's different about this show is that I've pulled together some very narrative artwork where it's sort of telling a story. So I'm informally inviting writers to come on into the gallery or look on YouTube. Connect with a piece of art or two or three or five, as some have, and then write a new piece of, new written piece inspired by that piece of art. So far I've received about 33 written pieces spanning from a lot of poetry, some haiku, a limerick, a couple short stories. We are going to be reading them today here. You can also read them yourself on the Emerge Gallery NY website. And you can also, I've done this twice before, so you can view the works written work and the art that came about on the previous two shows as well. Okay, so let's get started. We have a handful of writers here that I'm really, really pleased to present to everybody. So we're going to have a look at the artwork, and we are going to hear from the writers. Like I said, a lot of them are here joining us, and then I've got Theresa Landy Daniel, who is going to be reading the work for some of the artists that aren't able to join us. So we are going to start with Lucinda Abra. This is one of two pieces of Lucinda's. Let's get you up here. Great. So this is one of two pieces of Lucinda's. It is based on her poem, or it's based on her artwork, Haridas. Hold on one second, folks. I got to little technical difficulties here. I'm so sorry. See, this is what I get nervous about, like I was saying earlier. Okay, here we go. Haridas. Back to Zoom, and we are going to share so everyone can see Haridas. All right. So, Lucinda, we're going to put you up, spotlight you. And let's go. Welcome, Lucinda, welcome.
Thank you very much. I found myself in a strange building with very little light. Gray, scentless smog filled the environment. Nearby was a kinetic mass of people, mature men in suits and ties, aged women in baggy dresses, grandfathers with long white beards, black rastas, teenage boys in sport gear, drifted aside youthful girls in shorts and t-shirts. Young women in lovely dresses, some in hats, some people were naked, all different sizes, different ages. They walked clockwise, slowly shuffling along in a sizable circle, taking no notice of anything other than their endless motion. They strolled on grimy, colorless linoleum that was rutted out from wear. No one spoke or sniffled, coughed, or made any noise at all. Their footsteps were made in dense silence. I uselessly tried to speak to some of them, but they lumbered along without reply. Haridas entered an open doorway. The yogi had chosen silence many years ago as a spiritual discipline. As he didn't speak, he wore a chalkboard around his neck to communicate. His deep, quiet, and grounded center radiated from his presence. Where he had entered was a beaming light shining brightly in the room, cutting through the dim, but none of the semi-transparent people turned to look. The ambient light disappeared as soon as he shut the door behind him, leaving only ashy murkiness. With a wave of his finger, he motioned for me to follow him after writing a short explanation on his board. These people suicided. As I wondered why we were there, he opened another door into a smaller room, this one made of cement block. A single bare light bulb hung haphazardly from the ceiling. The floor was the same scratched and worn linoleum. A sparse wood table and 2 aluminum chairs were in the middle of the space. Shockingly, there was my daughter's father, Victor, sitting inside. His head rested on the table, his long arms covered his face. Looking up, he appeared quite forlorn. He was slowly disappearing, his beautiful bronze skin already translucent. Babaji motioned for me to enter the room, and then he left us, shutting the door behind him. Victor's brown eyes were filled with dismay. I'm dead. With a sense of resignation, I sat down on the opposite chair. My hand reached out as a comfort. For that brief moment, we touched for the first time in such a long time. His arm was as cold as marble. Looking up at me, he explained in painstaking detail how the last days of his life had ended. Victor had been staying at a halfway house for the suicidal. There were weekends off for good behavior as long as he hid his true anguish from the staff. Instead, he made friends with everyone, told jokes to the nurses and therapists, went along with the program, pretended to be in recovery. He was going to live his life right. Sharing cigarettes with part-time staff on the porch in the late afternoons and early evenings, he extolled on his mother's virtues. They all knew that he had been faithfully going to her house for several weekends of good behavior leave to help with the chore. He had been taking time to attend to a few things for himself as well. While he was lying to everyone else, Victor was busy making plans. He bought a shotgun and a set of large drapery rods. He tossed the rods themselves in a garbage can in the alley, one garbage receptacle from the halfway house. He kept the box. Determined, he hid the weapon in the overgrown bushes until everyone was asleep. Thereafter, while the residents and the staff slumbered, he silently toiled. The muzzle was too long, so with measured accuracy, he tirelessly sawed off at the end of it. During the nights, alone in his room at the suicide recovery house, he severed at his reality with American resolve. Finally satisfied with his labors, he was even more chatty and upbeat, telling personal anecdotes with the staff, sharing his future hopes and dreams in group sessions, talking cheerfully about the 4th step of the drug-free program with the therapist, passing his urine tests with flying colors, and working the system he had learned so well from past years. Victor told everyone and anyone how much he was looking forward to the coming weekend. He was going home to help his mother hang new drapes. The day arrived. Victor left early, carrying his resolve. The temperature was already in the 80s, cool as a cucumber, despite the heavy overcoat he wore in the summer air. He even stopped to smoke a cigarette with a staff member on the porch. With the box of the loaded sawed-off shotgun nestled safely under his arm, he took the bus and then crossed over Jefferson Avenue to stroll onto the Belle Isle Park. Once there, he walked around for hours on the 982 acres. Soundmen were hauling amplifiers into the Remick band shell as he walked past, wandering towards the water's edge. Musicians had pulled up in their 2 vans full of equipment and instruments for the jazz concert scheduled later that day. Several canoes slid by as the man in the overcoat leaned over, collecting rocks along the shoreline. while families are setting up picnics, throwing frisbees and barbecuing. Sailboats from the yacht club were pulling in and out of multiple docks. People threw pennies in the fountain and hoped their wishes would come true. Others swam in the river or lazily lounged on beach towels along the riverfront. A solitary man continued collecting large and medium-sized rocks. When his overcoat pocket was overflowing and there was no more room for even one more stone, he trudged in the oppressive heat back to the MacArthur Bridge, stopping midway between arches 9 and 10. Victor figured if anyone on either end of the walkway noticed what he was up to, it would take a long few minutes to interfere. The straight perspective back to the mainland reassured him. It was as though he were looking into eternity. He took his time. He watched cloud formations float by as he rested against the hot steel railings. He opened the cardboard, placing one finger on the trigger as encouragement. A few cars drove by, but no one paid much attention to the man standing on the bridge leaning over the railing. Though he looked like he might be holding something, the cars were moving too quickly, the people in them too distracted for anyone to notice the shotgun. His body was found some minutes after the fatal shot that blew off the left side of his head. The rocks, intending to weigh him down as he tumbled over into the river, were of no use at all. He had anticipated that he would fall downward over the railing into the deep water. But instead, his body simply slumped as his knees buckled at the moment of the bullet's impact. However, that was the only piece of his plan that didn't work out perfectly. The gravity of the situation was just beginning to materialize. Sitting at the card table, wringing his stone-cold hands, he said I would be notified as our child was the next of kin. He told me he preferred cremation to burial. Gesturing around the room, he said, I thought it would be better, but it looks like I'll be having time now to sort things out. Babaji opened the door and motioned that our time was over. After waking, I pushed aside the disturbing dream as a busy day progressed. I was attacking a long spider web, dust rag in hand, when I received the late afternoon call from the Detroit City Morgue, informing me that Victor had died and asked what our daughter would like to do with his body, as she was the next of kin.
Wow. Lucinda, you do not disappoint.
I want to mention that that is a true story.
Yes, and I remember you when you dropped off the piece at the gallery. You told me a little bit about it, but saying it, and reading it as a narrative really, just adds a lot to it. Can you tell us a little bit about this? This is Lucinda's artwork as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the artwork too?
I don't often do portraits, but I know Hari.
Yeah.
And I'm not a follower by any stretch of I am the worst follower on earth. But nevertheless, I truly have a connection to this man. And there's a number of times that he has appeared in my life. So I decided that I was going to do his portrait. And when I first started doing it, I have to tell you, I was nervous because it's just not what I usually do.
Yeah.
But I don't know, with pencil in hand, I went at it. And it worked out. He really did look just like this. He saw this and even he liked it. So that's it.
It's wonderful. And I just want to mention too that, myself and a lot of people are very familiar with Lucinda's work and are very surprised that this is Lucinda's. It's from 1985, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very different and what the community is used to with yours. However, the story is not.
That's right. The story is much more recent. It's part of a manuscript that I'm actually shopping right now.
Great. Well, I hope to read more, and we'll be hearing another story from Lucinda in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, I want to bring up Jakob Perez. Jakob, fantastic. Let's bring you up.
Hello. Hey.
Hi. Welcome. I was really pleased to get your response pieces from for the pieces here. So I'm really thrilled to have you as part of this.
Hopefully it's a good debut for me. We'll see how it goes.
The first one that we're going to have you read is in response to Hygeia, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm probably wrong. And it is by Debbie Auer Breithoff, who lives here in Sawtooth. Jacob, I'll give you the mic and let's go.
All right. I titled the poem Epione's Daughter in Babylon. And hold on, I'm having some trouble with there we go. Mom told me not to play with snakes. Fear of God in her voice, tickling my ears. The words never scared me like they did her. I hid the snake I found under a rock. Mom had me sleeping on pills and pillows. Hole in the bushes, my dreams gave me to the forest. The stone lay under my head when I awoke. I discovered the snake dancing in a circle. Mom stayed in houses at night. Moonlight showed me colors impossible for the daytime. The grass got up to dance, twisting like my newfound companion. I shed with the snake, I passed without it. Mom lived out her days for tomorrow. Heaven was taught to her by a distance and a hurting. The smaller she made her heart, the less without the sickness she'd known. I followed the snake into a future uncertain. Mom kept her thoughts to herself. What I had heard through a day would collect in my ear until the darkness of my soul, all that I didn't know, slithered out. I played with the snake on a girl's arms, going in circles. Mom knew pain was not fun. Our twin bodies wrestled, pulling eyes we crossed apart, weaving. The fate of healthy girls, taken so taken. We loved each other like lights strung up over man's one true ornament. Mom lost her girl twice, wandering the forest, trying with all her might to keep alert, hope waning. The one she thought she knew, the one she never could, both never to return. 2 snakes were eventually caught, cut open, each with a half. All the while lies whispered, speaking, your daughter lives, saying, I am your daughter. This is my husband, the snake.
Really nice. I wanted to ask each of the writers too. Jacob, what is there anything in particular about this piece that really drew you to it, to respond to it?
I was kind of looking at I forget if you call it a medicus or, the commercial hospital symbol that has the 2 snakes twirling around and kind of like
Medusius.
The whole
Caduceus.
Oh, Caduceus, yeah. And I was basically thinking about that and kind of the idea of the twin snakes, one you call truth, one you call lies, and how they kind of weave together and present reality in some ways, and kind of following them away from the human path of fear.
So it's sort of the snakes that you were drawn to, and the movement in them that reminded you of the symbol.
Yeah, and also the girl herself is the goddess is intended to be Hygeia, the goddess of like cleanliness and health and all that, and kind of choosing a path for yourself that makes you healthier than your parents, and allows you to overcome the sickness of kind of like an old age or an old society behind you.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks, Jacob. We're going to bring Jacob back in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sari, I saw you here. Sari Grandstaff has a few haikus that she did. If you're in Saugerties, you may be familiar with Sari and Will Nixon, who we'll be seeing later, who do sidewalk haiku as part of Shout Out Saugerties. So usually once a year, sometimes 2. They'll go out on the street, set up a table with some classic typewriters, and do some haiku on the spot. So I was really, really pleased to see that that Sari had submitted some haiku for some of the work. So it'll be quick, but they're powerful, and she'll be back a couple times. So welcome, Sari. This is the first piece. It is by Christine Baum, and it's called Close. Go for it, Sari.
Okay. All right. I guess. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yes, we did haiku hullabaloo. That's what last month. Okay.
Yes.
So clawfoot tub. No longer feeling like an ugly duckling after my bubble bath.
I love it. Great, thank you, Sari. I'm sort of going back and forth between the readers, so if you don't mind, we're going to bring you back up again to read a few more.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chrissy Bishop. Kristy, hi. Oh, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself. Can you find it?
Yes.
Okay, great. We can hear you. So this is a piece that actually Kristy painted herself. It's called Kristy in Plein Air, and she has a story about it behind it. And I was really pleased to see it come in last week, I think it was. So yeah, welcome, Kristy, and take it away.
Thank you, Robert. The title of my story is Balancing Act, a fine line between reality and imagination. The sun reflected on the water like a million diamonds as we entered the road leading to our camp on Cross Lake in northern Maine. Even the luxurious ride of a new Cadillac could not prevent motion sickness on the 1 hour trip from our homestead. Stop, I would shout to my mother, and into the ditch went my breakfast on that long, lonely road. That and bloodsuckers near the shore seemed to be the worst of it for a young kid. And did I mention the wharf? It was narrow and wobbled each time as I ventured onto it. All was well with me, the young artist, as my mom and grandmother called me. They were inside that day, and my dad sat on the landing on the staircase leading to the front door of the cabin. I had conquered going close to the end of the wharf. Generally, I looked for pearls in the open shells among the rocks in the water. But that day, I was soaking up the beauty of nature as I viewed the buoyant blue water leading up to the gorgeous green trees on the opposite shore. The cumulus clouds appeared endless as my eyes moved upward. Ka-splash! Suddenly, I found myself struggling in deep water. I bobbed up and down, gasping for breath. My feet could not touch the stony bottom, yet my lashing limbs finally connected with the wood of the wharf, and I made my way to the land. As I cried, I could hear my dad laughing. How could this be? He did not try to save me. My ever watchful maternal grandmother was not in sight. Sometimes artists paint to resolve current or past issues. This was the case during 2020, the lonely time of the pandemic. In my painting, Kristy en Plein Air, I put my adult self on a wide and sturdy wharf to capture the beauty around me in paint. An imaginary apparition of my beloved Grammy stands at a distance with her watchful eyes. When I was a baby, I traced the designs on her dress with my right index finger. She made my mother promise that she would get art lessons from me at a young age, and she left Mom an inheritance, to be sure of it, in 1958. My mother studied the paintings that her cousins created in the early 1920s. No one in my family imagined that I could not be called an artist. So thank you for listening to me about this. But I'd also like to say that I didn't remember this photograph. Can you see this? Am I holding it?
Yeah.
I'm not. This is a photograph of me on our wharf at the camp with my grandmother in the background watching me. Now, my mother's taking this photo from the end of the wharf. So I just found this recently, and it connected as to why I painted the painting. So thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kristy.
Thank you, Robert.
I was really pleased to get that to get that submission, because when I was looking at the piece myself, I wasn't sure if the if that was a statue in the back, or my mind sort of tends to go to the spiritual, so I was wondering if it was a statue or if it was a spiritual source there. So thanks for the clarification.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to bring back Lucinda Abra. We're going to take a look at a piece by Shelley Davis called Joy, and three writers who are artists, sorry. Three writers responded to it. So this is the first time that we'll get to see different interpretations of the same piece. So we are going to start with Lucinda, who is going to read her interpretation of Joy Theater Marquee. And I got to say, people are really, really responding to this piece. I think it's just bringing joy to a lot of people, just the word. So Lucinda, take it away.
A senior at my school said he would help me get into the US. It was my dream to study molecular physics at an American university, to help discover the glue that holds us all together within the play of molecules. But then he slid the amount due for my legal papers through his teeth. 15,000 US dollars. That's 160,350,000 in Uzbekistani som. He might as well have wanted a slice of the moon. I didn't have that much money. Did anyone? As we sipped a thick Turkish coffee at our second meeting, he readily offered a solution to my woe. He pushed aside his thick hair from his forehead with a flick of his wrist. I hoped that somehow he was a shaman with the power to send me to my goal. Then his words magically erased my heartbreak. All I had to do was work it off when I arrived. Easy, right? I flew into the John F. Kennedy Airport, escorted by two men from my country. They ushered me through customs and took my passport. The men explained this was the law, to give my papers to my new employer. When I struggled against the strong hand that gripped too tight against my arm, afraid to enter the rear of the cargo van, nervous as a flushed quail, it took no minutes for them to shove me in. One locked his arms around me, more potent than rope, while the other gave me an injection. I fell into a deep slumber, which will last perpetually. Both the proton and the electron, if left alone, will exist infinitely, because there's nothing lighter in mass for either of them to degenerate into. And now I am more lightweight than a feather and wholly insulated, both in spirit and mind, despite whatever degradations are performed upon my physical sheath. I will never escape this tiny room where I lay as docile as rubber, radioactive now, atoms spin out of control as I passively exist, an antiparticle with zero charge. The weight of debt is all that remains of who I once was, human. Still, I turn my head and I look through the road-dusted pane glass window. Across the street, there is a theater marquee that reads joy. Joy. The word that starts out so buoyant, doesn't it? An offering of the breath, only to end with a locked jaw and a silent scream.
Wow. Yeah, you bring a different take to the
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that.
But I would expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucinda.
Yeah.
I mean, your work is always a joy to read, and you know, even more of a joy to hear you read it. Lucinda had responded to some of the other work in some of the past shows too. You can see some of her work from those shows on the website. A really powerful piece for a piece that you had done above what was it called? Above ground. I'm thinking, but I don't think it was called that. Have a look. EmergeGalleryNY.com.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Lucinda. All right, now we're going to bring up Patrick Hammer. Patrick J. Hammer. There he is. Patrick did a handful of poems, I think 5 for the show. So this is the first of 5. I'm always pleased to hear Patrick's new work. So Patrick Hammer, take it away live from Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
Great. You're mixing me up with my late cousin, Patrick J. Dilworth. I'm Patrick T. Hammer.
Junior, yes.
Yeah, Patrick T. Hammer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Joy Theater Marquee, 2021, after Shelley Davis. Joy. Oh, I'll buy that ticket anytime, matinee or midnight. Joy. The marquee announces in big, bright, bold, yellow letters. And what I aim to buy as I'm standing, waiting under this sign that promises so much is a return to the golden age of a one-house theater with Baroque proscenium, viable stage for post-extravaganza, movie in CinemaScope or VistaVision, and so long there'll be an intermission for concessions or relief. Most of all, this vintage sign promises a hearkening back to quiet, no-cell viewing. Joy. Bring on the red-clad ushers with no-nonsense flashlights like Hopper. Joy. The newsreels, cartoons, serials, the coming attractions without commercials. Thank you.
Thank you, Hammer.
Yep.
Always a pleasure. And I had a feeling you were going to respond to that because of the new towers and theaters in Fort Lee.
Yeah, we have the Barrymore Film Center set to open an art house movie theater right here in Fort Lee, downtown Fort Lee, New Jersey.
So I'm not surprised that you responded to this one because I know you had cinema on the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Patrick. And we'll see you in a little bit. All right, now I have a special guest here at the gallery. A couple special guests, actually. So I'm going to turn it around and turn it over to Michelle DeCicco. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Thank you. This is turned into a running joke. So Michelle has responded to Joy as well, and also a handful of other pieces. So yours, Michelle.
Thank you, Robert. He named it Joy. For the abundant happiness he hoped for his patrons, the unassuming little theater built with love and care. He chose yellow paint for building and marquee, the shade of delight and sunshine. Built it in 1920 to lift his neighborhood towards joyous life, leaving behind the last 2 years. George was the nicest guy, using hard-earned savings to share his joy. Movies abundant, shown to all ages and affordable. Joy was always present for many decades, passing through different hands, joy always open and giving.
Michelle, I just want to, I'm going to turn it right back to her. I just want to mention that we're a bit little movie crazy right now in Saugerties because our own movie house just reopened. So yes, and it just reopened, the Orpheum. It's 100 years old?
Yes.
Over 100 years old, and it was recently purchased by Upstate Films. So they're turning it into an art house, and it's so wonderful to see the restoration coming. And they opened it on Thursday. They did some restoring of the building, but it's going to be really, really great to especially show some local films. They showed The Wizard of Oz for free yesterday. If I didn't have a gallery to run, I would have been there. Anyway, okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle, who is also responded to Nancy DeFlon's photograph called Hang in There, which I mistakenly titled when I put it up on Artsy, The Hanging Tree, which are two completely different titles, send you to two different places. So Michelle originally responded to the piece titled The Hanging Tree, but probably not the way I would have responded to a title like that. So here's Michelle again, and welcome back.
Thank you. Hanging in there. They propped me for demise, encouraging my roots to lift away from life-giving earth. Why? I deserve to progress onward with life in my home. I began this life, a seed, carried by lake and wind, placed gently on the shore, pulled into earth from a light shower and rooted well. Over years, grew stronger and taller, blooming in springs, and sleeping with the chill of winters, sharing my life with others. Sad things have occurred to me as of late. Broken roots, striving to dig deeper. Other roots hanging on to dry earth that has been worn down all around me, hanging on for life dear, not yet complete, not ready to give up and die. I refuse to fall over and become something to be stepped over, hanging on to live.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, really nice. Thanks, Michelle. You're getting silent applause from some people here. Okay, we'll bring Michelle back in a little bit. And now I want to bring up John Manno. John, are you here?
Yes, I am.
All right. Can you, let me see if I can find you.
I'm here.
I see you, great.
All right. Hello.
Well, welcome, John.
Thank you.
I'm really pleased I was really pleased to get your story. It's a really charming story. It's a great way to respond to something like this. And I'm so thrilled that you're here to read it for us.
Thank you.
So John is responding to a piece by Charles Dorr. It's called Button Up, and it is a collage. So John, welcome, and tell me a story.
All right, thank you. First, full disclosure, Charles Dorr is a good friend of mine, and so we discussed this, and I always loved his work, so I'm happy to be able to do this. My story is called About That Button. I have a story to tell, and it's about a button. My job as an insurance adjuster for art, antiques, and collectibles sometimes brings me all over the world. I get on a plane, investigate the loss, make a report, and fly back home. Most of the time, though, I work from my desk at the office. One day, an unusual claim came into my office regarding a lost or stolen button. I'd never had a claim for a button before, so I immediately opened the file to learn more about it. The Museum of Zippers, Snaps, and Buttons is located in a suburban mall near Helena, Montana. The museum doesn't get many visitors these days, which is probably why they let their guard down and became lax in their security procedures. Last week, they discovered that a very rare and priceless button was missing from its display case. It was one of 3 buttons that had been part of Mark Twain's overcoat, the middle button, which experts consider to be more valuable than any other button in any other collection in the world. Twain wore this overcoat through 3 long and cold winters in Hartford, Connecticut, as he wrote some of his most famous stories. In 1875, while strolling through town, a stray arrow came flying out of the sky, heading straight for Twain's back. Fortunately for him, at the last moment, he turned around and the arrow struck the middle button of his overcoat and safely bounced away. His life had been saved by the button, which was now cracked, but still in one piece, since it was made of sturdy whalebone, which was popular in the day. Twain wanted to honor the button in his next book, which was initially titled The Adventures of Huckleberry Button. His publisher balked at that idea and insisted that he change the boy's last name. The Twain button, as it had come to be known, resided in the Mark Twain boyhood home until 1968, when it was donated to the Museum of Zippers, Snaps, and Buttons. There it became the focal point of the museum, outshining all the other notions and sewing articles on display. All those who visited the museum specifically came to see the button, bypassing the museum's other artifacts. So naturally, the museum directors assigned a very high value to this button and filed an insurance claim for $1.75 million, an astounding amount of money for a button. So at the first chance I got, I hopped a plane and flew to Helena to see the Museum of Zippers, Snaps, and Buttons. Upon entering the museum, I was greeted by the museum director and her 9-year-old daughter, Maggie. Mrs. Billings was cordial to me as I introduced myself as the insurance adjuster for the issue of the missing button. I told her I wanted to get more information so that we could close the case. "What else is there to know?" asked Mrs. Billings. "The button is gone, that's all. When will the claim be paid?" "Oh, it's not that simple, I'm afraid," I said. "A claim for this amount of money needs to be examined closely. I need to find evidence that the button has been stolen or lost by some nefarious means. I'm sure you understand." "Understand? Yes. Like it? No," Mrs. Billings retorted. She was becoming annoyed by me and also by her daughter fidgeting by her side. So with a fake smile that belied her displeasure, she said, "Maggie, go play with your dolls in the other room, okay, sweetie?" The daughter may have taken a moment too long, for Mrs. Billings then said, "Now, Maggie, skedoodle." Maggie ran off as Mrs. Billings walked me to the display case that had once housed the Twain button. "It was there, and now it's not," she curtly explained as she pointed to the case. "That's proof enough that it isn't there." I knew I was wasting my breath trying to explain the workings of an insurance investigation. Either she just didn't understand what I was saying, or she was pretending to not understand. I thought I should be quiet for a while. "May I look around, Mrs. Billings?" I asked as I looked at the other displays. "Perhaps there's some clue as to where it went and how." Yes, of course." Then as the door to the museum opened, Mrs. Billings took leave of me to greet the new visitors. Thankfully, I was left alone to begin my investigation. However, this investigation was merely a way to look busy, for I had no intention of approving the claim. But I didn't want to tell this to Mrs. Billings just yet, so I poked around looking at the other displays, pretending to examine them for clues. From the other room, the daughter Maggie could be heard talking to her dolls. It sounded like the sweet, imaginative play that children do, especially with dolls. The door was open, so I peeked in just to say hi. That brought an angry retort from Mrs. Billings. "Don't bother the child," she barked. I didn't intend to bother her, but I realized that I should not have ventured into the private space of the museum. I apologized and then made one last turn to say goodbye to the girl, and she waved to me with her doll in her hand. That's when I noticed the button. Maggie's doll was dressed in a gingham skirt with a white cotton blouse. There was a torn piece of material hanging loosely off the blouse, and it appeared to me that it had been crudely sewn together, as if by a child. And what's more, right in the middle of the blouse was a cracked button. I would have bet right then and there that it was made of whalebone and had saved the life of America's greatest satirist. I don't know if Mrs. Billings was pleased to have recovered the famous button, or if she was bitterly disappointed that she wasn't going to collect the insurance money, because as I left, she still had that fake smile that belied her displeasure. Case solved.
That is so fun.
Thank you. It's
Is
goofy.
Is there such a museum?
No.
Okay, there should be.
Right? Nor is there a button.
That was really fantastic. Thank you so much, John.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Thank you. And,
Thank
keep in touch. I do these things fairly regularly, so it would be great
I
to
will.
have you participate again.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right. Okay, I have another guest reader in the studio today. Before I go, is Jean Hartley sitting here? No. Okay. So I am really, really pleased to have Theresa Landy Daniel here, who is my go-to reader, writer, artist, actor. She does it all and does it all well. So Theresa's here to read on behalf of some of the artists some of the writers and artists that couldn't be here, because you don't want to hear me all day. So Theresa is reading a poem by Jean Hartley, or a limerick by Jean Hartley Siddon. It's inspired by another Charles Dorr piece called In Focus. Let me bring that up. Ba boom. Okay. There you go. Yeah, right.
There was a young man from Parnassus who simply adored his field glasses. He burnished them lightly and focused them tightly on legs, breasts, and round little. As we were walking one morning, I gave him a sound and stern warning. Focus those things, sir, away from my chest, sir, or risk a swift knee to the... Row in his travels improved him. So distant, it finally removed him. Along mountain passes, he focused his glasses till a Nubian ibex behooved him.
Thank you. I love a good limerick, don't you? And a good haiku. Thank you, Jean. All right, well, we're going to follow this with something a little more serious. There's a couple of the artworks that I received for this show had a bit of a seriousness to it and a message, a social message, which and I intentionally, accepted a handful of pieces just like that because I want to get people to think. So I was really pleased to receive this submission by Bobbi Esmark. It's called Open Carry. It's called Pulse. And then Bobbi had written a poem to go along with it called Open Carry. Really pleased to have Bobbi here. Bobbi, are you here? Oh, there you go. Great. I think you're still on mute.
Yep.
Great.
There.
Wonderful. This is the painting is called Pulse, based on the Pulse nightclub shooting, and your piece is about well, you please you talk to us about it.
Okay. A little preface. I had in mind a series of paintings. The first one was actually another site, another incident of a shooting. And then the Orlando Pulse shooting happened, and I did that. And then I have another one in progress. And when Robert had the show, I thought, well, okay, I will write a poem that encompasses everything. And this is it. I'm still in the process of figuring out the paintings because the paintings individual look like a wonderful time, just people having a wonderful time, of course, because that's what everyone is usually doing before this incident. So I still haven't figured out how the paintings will come across as what my intention is, thus the poem. Open carry. The classroom door opens. Sweaters, yellow, red, and blue form a color wheel of children, spellbound on the bright blue story time rug. Strobe lights flash. Open-toed stilettos and leopard brogues move in rhythm. The dance line surges forward. A young man calls over his shoulder, "Save the last dance for me." 2 aisle seats are open. Rows of glowing profiles reflect exploding colors off the screen. Fingers filled with popcorn, others holding only someone's hand in the darkness. The ancient ark is open. Singers chant the Saturday Shema in dove gray suits. Ancient, 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 ancient. Holy, 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 holy. In the temple, voices rise, and then they fall. Men in dark ties open meetings, call to order at polished boardroom tables. They set their sights on politicians. Deemed essential, gun shops open. Record-breaking sales report across the land. In the boardroom, celebratory rounds of whiskey shots.
Wow. Really nice. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd love to see the rest of the paintings, you know, as when they come together.
Okay, thanks, Robert.
Thank you, and I'm really
As
pleased.
usual, thank you for
Thank
all
you.
of this.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Sari, are you still here with us? You are. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Got another. We have another haiku. This one is for. This is called White Bread. It's by Stevenson Esteen. Where did I find? Where'd you go? No, hold on. Sorry. Oh, here you are. I see him. All right. Thank you for hanging out, by the way. I mean, if you wanted to, you know, read the rest of the haiku, we can do that. Completely up to you.
Well, I think this is it. This is it. Just this one is the
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're right. Okay. Never mind. Never mind.
That's okay. And it's interesting. I realized that both these haiku today, the clawfoot tub and this one, White Bread, both have literary allusion, which just worked out that way, I guess. But I thought this was a fun piece.
Yeah.
This is my haiku response to White Bread 2021. A pat of butter and a spoonful of sugar make Jack feel saucy.
I love it. I like this piece a lot. I love the haiku and I like the artwork a lot. And I was really hoping that someone would respond to it. And I mean, your humor is just perfect for this piece. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
And you know, I'll be doing this again at some point. So hope you decide to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next I'm gonna bring up Joan Reimoth. You are here, aren't you? You are. I see her. I see her. You have to unmute yourself.
There we go. You good? Is it cool?
Joan, you here?
Yeah.
All right. Great. So ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs, please welcome the one and only Joan Reimoth. And Joan is responding to 3 pieces in one poem. So it is this piece, which is called The Call by John Fulci. It's this piece by Jeffrey Friedkin, a photograph called Hung Out to Dry. And it is The Man with Cross. I'm sorry, I can't see the town, but it's from Cuba. Cienfuegos.
Yeah, I was going to make them guess, but you're so much gentler. Right. We're taking the mystery out of it.
Okay.
All right. I was the only one, though, who made the shot just as the illusion door was still in motion. They promised we arrived, and we did at the Trump loyal structure. The door was barn red, and the accidental guardian still stationed just as described. A lot of folks in this group sketched, some took selfies, not me. I'm always going to carry a high-powered mounted lens. Now, I think I had successfully recorded a yellow car, perhaps a taxi, just before the illusion door shut closed. Maybe it was a shadow, but that was before the HP shows us this guy wearing a gray hoodie and clearly waving a vintage wedding dress still on the hanger. I'll swear it today that tomorrow I'm gonna still feel that same motion of the illusion door closing.
Love it.
It was an ambitious idea.
Hey, it works. It worked. I expect nothing less from you, Joan.
Ambition?
Yes,
Right.
I was actually hoping that you would do a little stand-up routine.
Oh, a little. Roosevelt, how much I miss Roosevelt? I have 1 minute. Want to hear a quick Roosevelt?
Sure.
Miss my little dog Roosevelt. Really, I do though. He's so smart, so cute. So what if every meal turned into a hostage scene? Roosevelt could read. Yellow sign in the lobby said wet floor. Roosevelt did. I encouraged him to run for president. He could have won. He had the sign, he said, pregnant women vote twice. Roosevelt could have won. That's it for
I
Roosevelt.
miss Roosevelt too. I miss seeing him around.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Joan. We'll see you soon. Stop in.
You see, I'm in the city with my kitchen.
I saw.
This is the city, everybody.
Huh. All right, Joan, thank you. All right, next we have, Jan Alexander. I was really pleased to see this piece come in. Jan is a wonderful writer here in Socrates, who recently published a book, no? Within the last year.
Fairly recently, well, 2 years actually. Time flies.
Wow. So I was really pleased that she's responding to Harriet Foreman's piece called Passage.
So it was actually the one,
sorry,
Generations of the Masks We Wear.
It's this other one.
Yeah,
sorry.
There, yeah.
This is called Generations of the Masks We Wear by Harriet Foreman Barrett. And Jan's piece is called We Were Masked Long Before the Plague. So it's it's a little bit of a intergenerational piece. So please tell us a story, Jan.
Thank you. Yes, this is a response to the Generations of the Masks We Wear, with a bit of a 2021 twist on masking. In my family, we've been masked women since before the mystic cruise of Mardi Gras dazzled New Orleans at the old French Quarter Opera House. Their kings of the ball wore crowns and ruled their subjects, as my great-great-grandmother learned in a back room. She was a seamstress for a king with a royal appetite for cinnamon-colored girls, and before she could even scream, he gagged her with a makeshift mask fashioned from sackcloth. He had an edict: cover her face and pretend she's your alabaster goddess. Then cover up the baby with gossamer veils and send her off in a basket. My great-grandmother, when she was old enough to brush away the gossamer, made a mask of emeralds and plumes and snuck off to a ball. The mask hid so many truths, she kept it for years, even after a smitten princeling tucked her away in an urban castle. When he came home, she would paint herself with blue eyes and scarlet lips, let down golden hair that wasn't really hers, and wear a mask that knew nothing about loneliness. My grandmother grew up when times were hard again. She ran away and joined a troop of mimes, never having to speak of history. In a white face mask and charcoal lips, she would tell a story of rape and deception through gestures, leaps, and silent howls. My mother was born backstage, playing a dutiful child. One day she put on a golden mask and it became her guardian, bestowing her with a facade of rapture. Her life stories were those of a heroine, discoveries of treasure chests, adventures on antipodal shores, secret meetings, debriefing presidents. Who was my mother behind her mask of stories? A scourge I wished to clean away. I became a physician's assistant, wearing masks that protected me from germs and shielded my patients from my legacy, long before we all learned that the world is deadly. Now I hide my soul behind fabrications that suit the mood. Manic sunflowers or starry nights, dominatrix leather or virginal lace, Lucky Charms, zombie skulls. If you were to take off your mask and I were to take off mine, we just might kiss. Then I could give you all the phantasmagorical tales you've ever wanted, all the deceptions you've ever needed, and you still wouldn't know me.
Nice. I like the twist.
Thank you.
The modern twist to it. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Robert.
You can have a look at Jan's piece on the website if you'd like. And Jan, tell us the title of your book?
Oh, the title of my recent book that came out 2 years ago is Ms. Ming's Guide to Civilization. Thank you for that. Yeah, yes. Thank you for that, Robert. It's a novel, and I'm told it's quite funny.
I'm looking forward to reading it. It's been 2 years, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. But that's for sure. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Now, Maura McMahon. Is Maura here?
I am, Robert. Hello.
All right. Let me see. Let's see if I can find you. Oh. Can you do a little wave for me?
Hi, Robert.
I still don't see you.
All right.
Oh, I see you. Great. Maura. Okay, wonderful. Maura, welcome.
Okay.
We're running a little behind. Maura did a writing for another one of Harriet's pieces, Harriet Foreman Barrett. This is called Fertile Passings. The Maura's piece is called World Womb Woman. So Maura, please let us hear your poem.
Thank you so much for having me, Robert. Harriet's one of my favorite visual artists, and it's just an honor to share with you this response to her piece.
And I like this piece a lot, and I think your response, fits perfectly.
Thank you so much. This is the piece. She is holding me and holding you with teeming ocean turquoise blue, her womb of life fresh as the dew, quiet green, loud crimson too, heavy breast to nourish us with golden rod and hush of dusk. She's praying now and deeply hums the sweet lavender, lilac and plum, ochre, red and purple cloak, teal, azul and silver smoke. From her crown, tethered to source, leaping salmon, dripping moss, a blush of gold upon her cheek, and all life's creatures underneath. Her story is right at the start. Inhale her image in the art of goddess, painter, birthing one, in herself, our place called home.
Beautiful. Where can folks see some more of your work? Maura, do you have any online, or do you have anything published that we can have a look at?
I do a lot of the spoken words on my Facebook page, and I've performed about 15 or 16 times with the Poetry Brothel of Kingston. And I performed in August at Studio 89 in Highland, and they still have, it was like a 1-hour show, just my stories and poems, and they still have that available to see.
Great, fantastic. I'd love to get you involved in some of the things that we, I do at the gallery as well. Always
I would
trying to
love
bring
to.
in writers connected with the art. So let's for sure keep in touch.
Terrific. Thanks,
Thank you
Robert.
so much, Maura. Thanks for joining us. And you can have a look at Maura's poems on the website, and then also do a Google search and have a look at some of her readings.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring back Mr. Hammer. Patrick, welcome back. You're on mute. All right.
Am I there now?
You're here. All right. This is called The Hobo Dreams Worlds, and this is by Deborah Friedkin. The collage.
This was a fun piece, very surreal piece. It was here on the tracks. It happened somewhere between Saugerties and Albany. I fell somewhere outside an industrial town, but I was dressed for a more hipper spot. Red. I was in weird red boots, red socks, red hand gloves. My pants and top not red, but tattered. I was feeling blue. Something hard hit me. I didn't see stars, but other worlds in miniature, filled with monkeys, men, other wildlife. Orbs circling above phone wires, smokestacks, followed by blue butterflies rising from my fingers, fluttering over me in air. A pigeon balanced on a small circus bike. Under other worlds blossoming beneath a faint newsprint sky. Pigeon said to me, "Shouldn't have taken pills proffered by that stranger." Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that when I had posted this on social media, someone had responded that there was a death in Saugerties on the tracks that was similar to this, right?
Wow.
Did you read that, Patrick? No?
I did. Yeah, I think I did. I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. This collage is a bit trippy. And I bet you if you were popping pills, you might see something. And then actually, while I got you here, Patrick, how about you read another one for us?
Alrighty.
It's by Andrea Geller. Andrea lives in Paramus, is an artist in Paramus. And this is a piece called Immersion 3. It is oil on a wood panel.
That's interesting. I was lived in Paramus for many years. It's a nice piece. I love this. It took me a while to actually realize that there was a body floating in the top center of the piece. This could be an inky, chalky Monet sky. Could be an abstract still life. Ice flow with blue shadows following within icy whiteness. Or it might be a mix of colors dropped into some spinning bowl. But I have overlooked all this time the floating figure of some human, arms upstretched, and now I wonder, are they in distress? Distress in all this placid, peaceful blue? Thank you.
You. All right. We are going to get another take this piece by Andrea Geller. Patrick, we will see you in a little bit for a couple more. All right. All right. I'm going to turn it around to Michelle, who also responded to Immersion 3. So hold on one sec. Go ahead. Go for it.
Thank you. A day to myself without guilt. Early summer warmth focused on my well-being today. The sun's rays tucked around me, ribbon clouds floating above, warm enough for a resting swim. The water ripples with a slight wind, a new meditation to float away with. A day to myself with peace in my heart. Water shimmers with blues of sky as I glide through cool water. My body responds, feeling weightless. Closing my eyes, I bring my focus to sounds around me. Water's light movement, cardinal's song in distance, and feel water as my support. Total immersive relaxation.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm not much of a pool person, but if I were, I would feel exactly as Michelle was just described. Thanks, Michelle. We'll hear a little more from Michelle as well. We're going to bring up, we're bringing Theresa back. Welcome back, Theresa.
Thank you.
All right. Teresa's going to read a poem. Let me bring up the art. This is called Spring Walk. It's a collage by Denise Giardula. And the poem is written by Gwynneth Green. And Theresa is going to read it for us.
Alex doesn't live here anymore. He succumbed to the dreams in the rabbit hole, escaping daily doldrums, finding comfort with furry friends, becoming a vegetarian, learning to hop and jump as modes of movement, twitching his itchy nose for relief, becoming wary of the fox and the hound, finding the hovel relaxing and warm, an escape from unwanted stress. The pill script filled on Mondays, hoping to make it through Sundays when he crawls out from the rabbit hole.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
A little different take on the rabbit hole. Okay, Josepha, I love this piece, and I'm really glad that someone responded to it. And I'm really glad that it was Elizabeth Shafer that responded to it. So I'm going to bring up Elizabeth. Here you are. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you? You're muted. You need to unmute. There you go.
Thank you.
Right.
Well, first, I was very drawn to this painting by Josepha, and I was actually starting to try to write a poem about words to hanging out to dry, but then I kind of lost time, so I went back to this piece by Josepha. Is there still a chance to write some words to hanging out to dry as well?
Sure, yeah, please. Anyone who, even when the show closes, I'll still accept and publish submissions on the website. It's an ongoing project, so please, yeah, that would be wonderful.
Thank you. Well, this is words I wrote to Josepha's painting. What a relief, away with our suits, our straight skirts, our stockings, our high-heeled shoes that we had to wear to business meetings, mostly to please and appease our male bosses. Now my friend and I can wear our glittery, comfortable, shimmery shirts and gowns, or whatever we like, and whenever we like. Away with the need for long lines and hours of crowded buses and subways. Now we can work and relax in comfort in our own home. Yes, COVID's a drag, frightening and constricting, but we're also inhabiting a new earth of freedom and potential. So here we are, prepped for Zoom, ready to twirl and swirl in our new gowns, but also to talk openly and honestly and zoom into the future.
Nice. Love the take on Zoom. It's become, as we are broadcasting from Zoom, it's become part of our everyday life. And I really like the way that, Zoom is playing a role in everything, including the way people act, the way people dress. And I think that you captured the action in this piece perfectly, and just the whole idea of Zoom and how it's just becoming necessary and part of our.
Thank you.
So thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, we're going to bring back Michelle again. Michelle wrote this is a piece by Pam Krimsky. It is called Late One Afternoon, and I've received 4 response pieces for this one, and I was hoping to have it written today, but of course it's not. So I have a piece that's half done for this. I just wasn't, it's not to the point where it's ready to share, but have a look at the website, it'll be up there at some point. But up there now and here now is Michelle DeCicco, who's going to respond to Pam's piece called Late One Afternoon.
Been on the streets long, enough to look older than I am, but pushing barely legal. Don't stare, don't judge. Using or abusing my life, take your pick. Drugs worth the rent money spent. Tucked deep within, my pocket threads unravel, while dressed to impress the pusher down the street, currently satisfied in my room. Maybe enough to add more to the bag next time. With a strong drink in my hand, a mascara sliding down my face, as my tender soul ebbs away into the darkest shadows of the late afternoon.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
It's really interesting, the different takes. Laura, are you ready? Okay. It's really interesting, the different takes that, or different responses that people are having to the same piece of work. So the next reader that we have is Laura Lonshein. Is that how you pronounce her last name?
That's my middle name.
Okay.
Lonshein Ludwig.
Laura Lonshein Ludwig, who is here to join us and read her work. Laura's a writer here in town, and she runs the writing groups over at Inquiring Minds, right?
Until further notice. It's just
Oh yeah, because of the pandemic. Yeah. So Laura, please have tell me a story.
Okay. This short story is called Art Through the Centuries. In the gray sky, the Renaissance peeked through. Its art was in every building, in the church, in the way a castle was near a modest house. Nothing was without precision. The design that emerges from the love of life and the superb taste of the times. I was visiting France at the end of the 19th century. The 16th century was evident everywhere. The small bridge I crossed to see some of the houses was still strong, although built years ago. The lilies floated in the water. I sat down by the pond. I felt a calm, almost hypnotic effect. I imagined I saw the people that passed the pond many years ago, the dreams and hopes they discussed, inspired by the calm, soothing pond, flowers floating by. In the chateau of the Renaissance, The attic is often the richest part of the house. The high-pitched roof could have 3 windows of beautiful design. The windows above the door could open upon the balcony. The hanging gardens are enchanting. One of my favorite writers, the novelist Henry James, described this at a lecture he gave. He said he would someday write a travel book. I planned a trip to Shannon. Life is art in France. The planning of a home, the garden, the way food is placed on the table. That does not mean that economy does not play a part. France was often in turmoil, the religious wars, the cruel reign of the Medicis, revolution where the innocent were murdered with those who caused cruel misery. Despite the history of France, love was expressed for one another quite openly. There were a few houses in town. A marble statue of the goddess Artemis was in the garden of a house that offered the weary traveler a room for the night and a good meal. I walked further down the road and saw a tall woman washing garments in the pond. Entering a cafe, 2 men were talking and laughing at a table. I wished for company after seeing them. I was alone on this vacation. A strange, puzzled-looking man with thick red hair was looking at me. A man sat down at his table with a hat not worn by most Frenchmen, a tall, pointed hat worn by the English town folk, usually to enjoy a night at the local tavern. People were entering the tavern and also leaving it constantly. A young woman with a white cap on her head, curly brown hair peeking out of it, asked me what I would like to eat. She told me that they served a very rich vegetable soup, excellent French bread, and the finest dinner in town. She wore an apron over her dress and took a pencil and paper from the pocket in it and wrote down my choice. After a good meal, I returned to the hotel, sat in the hotel lobby, not wanting to be alone. The enchanting woman at the desk offered me a cup of tea. She wore her hair in a tight bun, her large eyes tired looking, her aristocratic features perfect for a Renaissance painting. She told me that she was separated from her husband, that they grew tired of arguing about the work at the hotel. He wanted to sell it, and I refused, and so I take care of it myself with a small staff. I find it interesting. So many people visit from out of town, from all over the world. I've had a very good time here, I said. I've been made very comfortable. I'd like to stay for a few more weeks. My name is Rose, and I am Claude. I am from the United States of America. Rose knocked on Claude's room to bring him dinner. They would dine together in his room on Tuesday evenings and talk about Rose's art classes as she was studying with one of the well-known impressionists, when Marie, the most trusted of her staff, could manage the hotel while she was at class. Claude, sitting by the window, reading the poetry of Shelley, placed the book on the dresser. Rose placed a dinner tray on the small table, used the meals in the room, and showed Claude a telegram she had received. The divorce from her husband is now official. I am free, Claude, she said. Claude smiled and confessed that he had fallen in love with her. Rose nodded and said she too had fallen in love with him. They married a few months later. Claude had also fallen in love with France, and they worked hard to make the Hotel Shannon one of the most charming places to stay in France. 2 centuries later, in October, in the year 2021, in the attic of the house that the great-grandchildren of Rose and Claude lived in, a house built in 1901 in Saugerties, New York, in America, on a street with other beautiful houses built at least a century ago, a letter was found that great-grandmother Rose had written to their grandfather, her son, hoping that the family found happiness in America. To remember that strength and character are built from what we can do to make a living if we can use our greatest gift. It is the most rewarding experience in life, and to know that they are loved and missed. The photograph, faded from the 19th century of Rose and Claude, was in the envelope with the letter. Michael, the great-grandchild of Rose and Fort's painting, hanging on the wall of the Emerge Gallery in Saugerties, New York. Rose would have loved. In her letter to grandfather, she described her efforts as an art student with a well-known impressionist. Have you heard of Lautrec? He spends hours in the cafes of France drawing the subjects he chooses, and later they hang on the walls of the most famous cafes and dance halls in France. The painting on the wall of the Emerge Gallery is by the artist Pam Krimsky. It is entitled Late One Afternoon.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really, really like how, I mean, you definitely gave voice to that whole period of in France. You know, I mean, I felt like I was sitting there like this, and a whole completely different take on what I see. You make it seem sort of sexy and glamorous in a way. And then I loved how you just brought it all back to Saugerties, to the wall here.
And I was so
So thank
excited
you.
when I studied Lautrec and studied the dances that he did, and studied the cafes and the history of the cafes. I actually wrote a story based on that study. I just wanted to go there. And so it is to me like that.
Absolutely. Well, you brought us there.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks so much. All right. I am going to read one more piece for this. This is by Tad Richards. Tad, I don't think you were here, are you? I'm sorry, we're running a little behind. Okay. So this is Untitled. It's by Tad Richards, who lives over in Kingston. Late one afternoon, her metabolism slowed to a crawl. She slides down further in her chair and wonders briefly what decade it is. She's become untethered in time outside the opaque glass. Could be children dashing through an open hydrant, dodging the pale specter of polio, or grown-ups playing Lionel Hampton on portable radios on their front stoops, or protests against Vietnam. But who is the dark man, and why has he come for her? All right, so that is Tad Richards' response to Pam Krimsky's Late One Afternoon, and it is Late One Afternoon. Oh, we're gonna bring Patrick Hammer back up. Hammer, come and tell us, tell me a poem. What's that?
Tell me a poem.
Who?
You.
Oh, no, I didn't finish it.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, you know, with all that time I have. Patrick, this is a piece called Four Cardinals. It's by Linda Linton. And I actually may respond to this as well, because I really believe in the fact that if you see a red cardinal out there, it's a male that has passed that is visiting you. And I see my father all the time. So Patrick, please, I believe it's my father. Tell me a story, Patrick, or a poem.
Four Cardinals, 2021, after Linda Lighton. We come, four as one, perch on four limbs in one barren tree. In the winter of all our lives, we come plumed in red, a sanguine reminder of life as harbingers and a comfort to you all in light of those you are missing. In barren times, we know the lives and loves that left your hearts dry and fallow. But there will come another season to bloom again.
Beautiful. Thank you, Patrick.
Yep.
We will see you in a little bit again, right? Yes. Excellent. All right, and we are bringing back Theresa Landy Daniel, who will be reading a poem by Gwynneth Green, who responded to Marjorie Maggott's piece, Calmia posing, which is right behind her. This is a fun piece.
I love reading pieces by Gwynneth Green.
Yeah.
I am often her ersatz, her substitute. Calmia dressed for an occasional outing, waiting not so patiently. Uber driver late, a match date awaiting. Surely this one will be a bit more balanced than the last, at least willing to pick up the tab. Having learned from past rendezvous, they never are what they portrayed. Shorter, fatter, loss of hair, and exercise probably last century. But for Calmia, it's a night of freedom. She looking rather proper and prim, hoping for a handhold, hug, possibly peck on the cheek, sneaking out. Kids don't need to know. Damn, the Uber driver's late.
Thanks. What about that date? How'd it go? All right. Thanks, Gwynneth. If you're watching, I'm always love having you participate in these events. Everyone. I enjoy having everyone participate in this, and I'm glad people take me up on my challenge. We're running about a half hour behind because I can't shut up. I've got lots of, lots of stuff to say, but I won't. So let's get back to the poetry. Anthony Franzese. Am I pronouncing that right? Are you here, Anthony? I know we're running behind, and I hope you're stuck with us.
Yes, I am, Robert, and thank you.
I'm so sorry for being late.
No problem. Here.
Trying to find you. Can you wave for me?
Hello. Hello, Robert.
Looking for you. Do you have your camera on?
I do.
You do. Huh. I'm not seeing you. How come? I hear you. Anthony, here you go. Okay. All right, great. Anthony, welcome. Anthony was actually the first response that I received. It is in response to a photograph by Dorothea Marcus. It's called Man with Cross sin Fuegos, Cuba. So please tell me a poem, Anthony.
Thank you, Robert. When the shadow, bent and huddled to a darkened self, stands midway to the door, but hangs its unaccomplished crown, the legs that meant to walk stand cruciform, and the head turns from the now closed way. Cross behind and cross above, the invitation lost. Who, with knowledge, would dare deny themselves transcendence?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really nice. Anthony, where can we see some more of your poetry? Is there any out there that that we can find online, or?
No, I don't publish, Robert. This was an invitation from Dorothea, whose work I have followed and admired for a couple of years, and I just wrote specifically for this.
I'm really pleased that you did, and I'm so pleased that you decided to to join this little project.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please keep in touch. I do a lot, like I said, I do a lot of different events here for poetry and writing. So
I will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to turn it back to Michelle DeCicco, who too much to do. All right, we did Calmia. Ellen Menzies. This is called Ride Redo. And this is from a series, this is by Ellen Menzies. And Ellen has a whole series where she retells the story of Red Riding Hood. So there's two pieces in the show that are from that series. This is one called Ride Redo. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Once upon a time, in the wildest of forests, the deepest, darkest, most loneliest of wooded forest, where shadows lurk and scare, anything that lives. Crawlies gather to hunt the weak. Dense as fog hangs within this forest, never lifts. Thorny brambles grab skin, round with deepest mud pulls you in. I, she-wolf, mother to many pups, leader to large and strong pack, found a human pup. She alone, she scared, she hungry, without her pack. How could this happen? I will care for her. She is welcomed into my pack, never separate, never hungry or cold, always with me and my many, forever safe.
Nice. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. We got one more. All right, this is called The Emergence of Hope. It is a wood sculpture by Dennis Moore. And I knew Michelle was going to respond to this because she came back to the gallery a number of times to look at it.
A narrative for us all. The positive force of hope brings longing to experience more. Wishful thinking for unlived tomorrows. Curious for changes with reasoning to live another day. The emergence of hope. From choice, chance, revolution, cooperation, or miracle. Hope emerging from shadow, working through storms of our lives while having faith for many glorious rainbows to emerge.
Nice way to end it. A little biased though. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Don't go far. I think
No,
that's it. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you so much, Michelle,
You're welcome.
for doing this.
You're very
Thank
welcome,
you.
Robert.
All right. Shannon, are you still here?
Yep.
You are. Okay. Thank you for hanging in there. I see you. Great. We are going to, this is a piece by Ingrid Nichter, who lives in Kingston, and it is called She Looks Like You. And I'm really, really pleased to have Shannon Gardner here, who responded to the piece. Shannon's an artist as well, and I've had some of Shannon's work in previous shows, so I was really, really pleased that when you had reached out about writing a response piece to this. So it's a really wonderful poem. So please tell me a story. Tell me a poem.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I was very, very inspired by her work. So this just came totally by the inspiration. Okay. She looks like you. She looks like you. You look like me. Strings holding us together form only a tree. She may be me, but I am not she. The comparison is cute, but only temporary.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Shannon, as you know, I do a lot of pieces with writing and literature, writing and art. So would love to have you participate in some others as well.
Awesome. I'll do it.
And thanks for hanging in there.
Thank you.
All right. I am going to read a piece by Will Nixon, who was here a little earlier but wasn't able to stay. This is a piece that is being matched with Susan Phillips' painting called, hold on, let me bring it up. Night Terror. Yes, thank you. Okay, here we go. Let me share that with you. Okay. So this is called Night Terror. It is a poem that Will had written that it wasn't really in response to this piece, but it is matched up with it because it fits perfectly. It's called The Life of the Stag. You nibbled sharply on my lips, testing, you just want a girlfriend to help you carry logs. I held you, bony and damp, in my lap, studied the cheek mole you said children love to touch. And go to the movies with, I said. Your black Manhattan jeans lay drooped on the rug, on the fire rug by my rubber-soled Wolverines. Smoke leaks from the wood stove like a cigarette. In the morning, we snowshed Cross Mountain. In the morning, we snowshoed Cross Mountain. I showed you beech trees graffitied by bear claws the size of our hands and told you my story. After the Hoboken divorce, I chose these mountains. Hung a Cherokee mask by my door, filled my pencil holder with wild turkey feathers, wrote my first ode to porcupines. Then I found my inner Wendigo, named after the Indian spirit in a low-budget movie shot one winter by our reservoir. Half deer loaded with antlers like bone chandeliers, half human in buckskin leggings. This creature hurled like an Olympian through the midnight forest, while strobe lights flashed beech trees, fierce as totem poles. And what was the Wendigo chasing, you asked? The same old story, I said, revenge. We kissed, turning me back into a man. All right, thank you, Will. Let's see, we're gonna bring Hammer back up. And Patrick, this is your final poem, I think.
Final piece.
And this is for Terry Priestner. It's called Hope Summer Field. It's an oil painting.
It's exquisite, I think. And I imagine these five stanzas as separate, but also a cohesive whole. Five haiku, but a cohesive whole. Mm. Low sky whirls with ribbons of blue and white. Base of distant mountains mark what is the beginning of earth. Conifers, sentinels over smaller sister, and open fields. Tall order. All the while, self-centered wildflowers sway in high grass. These fragile, thin flowers whisper secrets to each other. Ignore the first north winds. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Sure.
Really beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
You brought me right into the field.
I know, it's an exquisite piece.
It is. It's really beautiful, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jacob, are you still with us?
Actually, just got back, so that's good
great.
timing.
Good timing.
Yeah.
Sorry we're a little late. This is a digital painting. It's by Tad Richards called I Know Why You Have Come. And I was actually hoping someone would respond to this because it's a good opening line, although I don't think you use it as an opening line.
I didn't. I used the idea a little bit, but
yeah, that wasn't a requirement. That was just my thought.
I didn't check all the rules that I'm supposed to be following. So hopefully, you know.
I don't make rules for people to follow, so you're good.
All right.
Okay, great. So yeah, let's hear it. Tell me a story.
All right. The left pupil hit the eye like a moth in a light bulb. And what of the light it's searching for? Dusk had long since ripened. I was the second to arrive. As to the woman whom the eye belonged, I suppose darkness you'd call it, underneath. She gave herself up some time ago, for a death she couldn't tear away. Too much has passed for the deceased to hold on to their name or face. The specifics could still be inquired after, in the way specifics are wont to doll themselves up for. to be felt again as a small bump on the older minds in town, a subtle recollection, more pretense than actual memory. Some kid, some ringed man, some sister with stranger's blood, perhaps all of them. The truth long broken with gossiper's tongue and sentimentalist drivel, and the difference made no difference now. The moth dropped again to the moonlit eye's glassy bottom, after it had smacked the lens too hard. A flash altogether less than inspiration took her sight flying low, as my gaze trickled opaquely through the shut-in windows to her soul. Come to live, come to nest, secrets of mine, kept by heavy words wait, desires which makes the bridge shades blush younger, such perverse love as to render kindness uncharitable. Here, her focus lies there a while, tortured by the strands of my existence. Not a word for it between us, only to wait, a long wait, that is to wait longer. Ah, the third to arrive.
Very nice. I like that a lot. Thank you. Like I said, I was hoping that someone would respond to this piece, and I think you did a great job in responding to it. There's definitely something else. So thank you so much, Jakob. And then now we have a piece that was written by Tad Richards. Tad, did you want to read this piece in response to Marilyn's work? Are you here? I think I saw you. I did a few minutes ago.
You read the other one.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see you now. I did see you earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and read the piece for you. This is by Marilyn Rowley. It is called Roar. And Tad Richards' poem is called I Hope You Enjoy This. I hope you enjoy this. This is the story of my life. Based on a true story, it covers diverse spheres of reality. It covers itself with shame and glory. It includes encounters with a wolf, encounters with a woman of several names, and roughly the same count as to bodies, but a rough consistency of libido. Parts of it are told by a philosopher crow. Parts of it assume a constant universe. Other parts stretch themselves endlessly toward the purest inconsistency. Thank you, Tad. You can see more of Tad's artwork on the Artsy site. And also, I know Tad's got some writings online as well. So have a look at those too. Thank you, Tad, for participating as both an artist and as a writer. Rita, are you here? Did you want to share your work? You want to read for me? Oh, okay. You want me to do it? I can read for you. Okay, I'll do that. This I immediately responded. Me personally, I responded to this. Hold on. It is called "Come With Me." It's by Rita Sherry. It is a acrylic, I believe, acrylic on canvas. And it's inspired by a Diane Arbus photograph. Who I love Diane Arbus, and this, or Deanne, I think it's pronounced. And this is inspired by her last series where she spent some time at an institution photographing some of the residents there. And this is called "Come With Me," written by the artist Rita Sherry as well. Come with me. Come with me, the tale begins, and wondrous sights we'll see. We'll travel off to distant lands, our humdrum lives will flee. We both have worn our finest clothes, you in mask and I in my robe. They will not find us, though they search, for different selves will be. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Rita. It offers a different take on the painting itself. Sort of a different place than where I would have gone in my head. And I'm thinking about responding to this. Okay. Lou Story. We've got two pieces in the show by Lou Story. This is a sculptural piece called Laughter Joke Depository. I knew it had something to do with laughter. Sorry. And it's a poem by Gwynneth Green, and Theresa Landy Daniel is actually, I think, Theresa, we got you for a few poems now.
4 more, I think.
Yep. So take it away. This is your spotlight.
Just because nobody should listen to you read constantly, right?
That's right.
Joke Depository. He chuckled too quickly, seemed forced. Not a genuine belly laugh, no tears running down his cheeks, no shoulders shaking, stomach aching. A snicker, not even a giggle, but the room burst into side-splitting laughter, the hilarity being the jest was on the jokester.
Thank you. All right. This is another piece that Gwynneth responded to. This is called Neighborhood Watch by Cindy Sue Morano. And Gwynneth's poem is called Bobbi, Robbie, and RB. And when I posted it on social media, the artist coincidentally had said that the guy in the middle's name was Bobbi. So Gwynneth was spot on with this. Oh, you're seeing it for the first time. Yeah, it's called Neighborhood Watch. It's a fun piece.
Bobbi, Robbie, and Daddy RB meet Wednesdays in the park before a draft at the bar. Gun-toting folk, if you know what I mean. Leave them home when the wives come along. Talk shit when it's just the three. About the buck that got away, about the pheasant that missed the shot. Going bear hunting next hunting season. Big game, big dreams. Anyone notice new barmaid, barkeep, bartender, bartenderess? That an appropriate term? How do you be politically correct these days and age? Man, she's got a fine ass. She's got a cop as a man. Friend, keep your hands off. Order your beer, stay clear. Wives would hear RB snickered. Pay attention, men, or we'll be swatted in the back of the head. Our day, watch the kids and watch what you say. 5 o'clock's around the bend. Bobbi, Robbie, and Daddy RB meet Wednesdays.
Fun. Great. Thanks, Theresa. Lynn Mccreary, are you here, Lynn? I don't think I saw you come in. I wasn't sure if you were going to be joining us. Okay. Lynn is a wonderful artist originally from Saugerties, and I did not know that Lynn was a writer as well, but she responded to this drawing by Pamela Tucker. It's called Summer 2020, and Teresa's going to read this for us.
I didn't mean to do it. He was there, and the gun in my hand fired loudly. And then it was so quiet, and he lay sprawled at my feet. Not a threat at all.
Wow, that's really powerful. I like when, like I said, I pulled in a few pieces that had a little bit of a social message, hoping that people would respond to it. And this is, I'm not disappointed. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Theresa. And then this is the last piece. Speaking of social issues, there's a piece in the show by Nanette Beechner Reynolds that Jakob had responded to. Jakob, I haven't had a chance to put it on the website yet. It came in a little late after I organized this. So I encourage people to go to the website. Give me a couple hours and I'll get it up. But you know, if they can go there and have a look at it, it's a pretty powerful piece. Jakob, I didn't get a chance to read the full version that you had sent over earlier, but
yeah, no worries. It's a little strong for here, I'd say. So, you know, a second reading just to make sure everything's copacetic might be good.
Okay, great. Thank you for responding to that. And I encourage people, it's a really strong piece of art and it's a really strong poem too. So I encourage people to check it out. So we are going to close with Joe's Cafe. This is a mixed fiber piece by Kay Velas Turan. Kay Velas Turan. It's called Joe's Coffee. And this, Gwynneth had responded to this piece as well. Gwynneth Green, and Theresa's gonna close it out with a reading of Joe's Coffee.
Oh, the aroma, too hard to say no. Oh, the aroma wakes one from dreams. Oh, the aroma, a Java, please. Joe isn't my name. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather be called Sue. Susie would do too. I want my Susie black, he said. She laughed. She leaned. I'll have a latte, please. He frowned, scratched his head, confused. A coffee, no half and half, no sweetener. I want mine black. Joe was Susie. Susie was black. He got a coffee, shaking his head. Swore he'd never be back. Oh, the aroma, too hard to say no. Oh, the aroma wakes one from dreams. Oh, the aroma. A Java, please.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks, Theresa.
Thanks for letting me.
Absolutely. You haven't done this in a while, and
No, I
I'm
haven't.
pleased that, I hope you enjoyed it. We always love hearing you read. So that's the program. I really want to thank everybody for hanging in there. I especially want to thank the writers who participated in the show, and to the artists who submitted some of the artwork. I really want to apologize and thank the artists for hanging in there, because last night I did a reading of each piece myself and put together a little timeline that ran about an hour behind. So I neglected to factor in all of the little banter in between and my long-windedness. So thanks for hanging in there. Apologies for that. We made it to 2 hours. I was thinking it was only going to be an hour. Again, the show is called Tell Me a Story. I will continue publishing the artwork or the poetry and the response writings that come in on the website. The show is still up for another week in the gallery. There's 50 pieces in the gallery. There's an additional 30 on artsy.net /emerge-gallery-ny. You can have a look at all of the work, see a little behind the scenes of what the artists have to say about it. Last weekend, I held a virtual artist discussion, which is archived on YouTube. So you can, that is the opportunity for artists to come and talk about their work. So you can have a look at that as well. The next show is a Petite Show. It's my annual smaller work show that opens on November 20th. I don't really do official openings these days because of the pandemic, and it's a small space. I don't want 40 people in here at a time. So I'm open the whole day from 1 to 5, and that's the opening reception. So come on in, have a glass of wine, check out some good art, buy some art. A gift of art is a gift of the heart. And you know what? Shop local. Don't go to the box stores, because they're probably out of stock anyway, and it's not going to come. It's not going to come to you before the holidays. Come in here and you can buy art right off the walls. Anyway, thank you again to everyone. If you enjoy this whole, back and forth between the visual art and literary art, I'm a writer myself, and these are the kind of shows that I can participate in. Although again, I didn't this time around. I will. I do an annual art and poetry show every April, and you can see some of the works that have been created through all of these little endeavors that I do on the gallery website, emergegalleryny.com. You'll see all of the work that's written for this, the 2 previous years that I did Tell Me a Story, all of the poetry and artwork that was created for my Art and Word show to celebrate National Poetry Month. And then you can also see the readers or the writers read their work on YouTube. So lots of videos there to keep you entertained. And you can watch me for a couple more hours. All right, everybody. So listen, hey, thanks. This was a really great event. So pleased with all of the work that came in. Again, if you feel inspired, keep them coming. Yeah, that's our show. We'll be doing this again in November to roll out the Petite Show. So everybody have a great week. Keep writing, keep art in your life, and yeah. All right. See you all soon.
Thank you, Robert.
Bye.
Thank you
Oh,
for
my
keeping
pleasure.
art alive in Socrates.
Yep.